What's up guys, Mickle here, and we just got some extremely significant news that you guys need to see. The SEC is up to their old sketchy tactics and trying to redefine law to try to cram cryptocurrencies into their jurisdiction. The SEC has remained confident over the past couple years that most cryptocurrencies are securities, despite the fact that almost everything that governs the SEC would imply that cryptocurrencies should not be regulated by the SEC. I want to show you guys what the SEC is trying to do now to try to jam cryptocurrencies into their regulatory body. Now, the SEC is actually doing this in the current library case, but many lawyers following the Ripple case are now pretty sure that the SEC is gonna try to make these same claims against Ripple to try to make it seem like XRP would be a security under the SEC's new definition of what a security is. In this video, I want to break down for you guys exactly what the SEC is trying to do here and how I think the court is going to respond. This is a really big deal because one of the biggest questions in this case is if the SEC even has the regulatory ability to go after XRP. I want to show you how far out of line the SEC currently is on this topic, and I want to show you what they're trying to do to confuse the court and try to sneak cryptocurrencies into their jurisdiction. You guys are not going to want to miss this. This is huge. We're also currently waiting on a gigantic decision in the Ripple SEC case. We need to know whether or not the SEC is going to be allowed to apply the attorney-client privilege to the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass emails. I want to show you what different lawyers following this case are saying about when we can see a ruling on this. It looks like it's going to be very soon. I want to show you exactly what they're saying so you guys can be prepared for when this news is going to drop. Last of all, we have some breaking news about a massive bank getting involved in Ripple and XRP. Make sure you stick around till the end. You are not going to want to miss that. Like always, if you're new to this channel or come here all the time, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It goes such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. If you guys are ever looking for a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out the link in the description below. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So let's jump right into it, and I had to start off with this because I think this is so important to point out, and one of my biggest pet peeves with Bitcoin. Now, I hold Bitcoin, I like Bitcoin, but I think so many different Bitcoin maxis are completely delusional, and they need to be exposed on this kind of stuff. This guy, McShane, tweeted out, if your coin has a CEO, it's not your coin, buy Bitcoin instead. And I tweeted out in response to him, ignorance is bliss. Bitcoin has a CEO, and there is no doubt the US government knows exactly who it is. Unless you believe Bitcoin appeared out of thin air, then this is a brain-dead argument. Your personal lack of knowledge does nothing to make Bitcoin better. And what I'm pointing out here, and I was obviously pretty brutal here, but this stuff has to stop. Someone obviously created Bitcoin. Someone obviously created every cryptocurrency in existence. They all had to be created by someone. So this argument that Bitcoin was created by no one because no one knows who created it is so insanely false. Every single cryptocurrency has a creator, and you knowing or not knowing that creator doesn't change anything about the fundamentals of the token. Because the idea that no one knows who created Bitcoin is completely false. I don't buy that for a second. The US government could know tomorrow, and they probably already know who created Bitcoin. They can track the IP addresses, they know who was involved in the early creation, they can bring people in, they can interrogate them, they can find out who created Bitcoin. The fact that you don't know who created Bitcoin, that doesn't change anything about Bitcoin. And it's not bad for Bitcoin either. It's not bad at all. It was created by someone, and I think we have to acknowledge that as smart individuals, someone made it. But that doesn't make other coins worse just because their founders didn't want to go anonymous. It's better that they're not anonymous. They shouldn't be. Someone created the coin, and we should know who created the coin. But the idea that that somehow gives Bitcoin a leg up over these cryptocurrencies, I refuse to acknowledge that argument, and I don't think it makes any sense at all. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Do you think the US government knows who created Bitcoin? I want you to leave a yes down below if you think the US government does know who created Bitcoin, and a no if you think no one has any idea who created it. I want to know what you guys think. Make make sure to leave your response down below. Let's move on to a new rant though, and let's start talking about the SEC because they are so far out of line in these cryptocurrency cases, it's actually mind-boggling. They are straight up changing law to try to ram cryptocurrency into their jurisdiction. Let me show you what I mean because you guys are going to instantly know what the SEC is trying to do here. It's flat out absurd and it's kind of obviously gross too. So one of the ways that we know that many people try to figure out whether a cryptocurrency is a security or not is the Howie test. And I think you guys know how many prongs the Howie test is, but let me read this statement by the SEC in the Library case and let me see if you guys can figure out what's wrong with it. Library has conceded 2.5 of the Howie test 3 prongs. This is written by the SEC. So they're saying that Library has admitted that Library does not pass 2.5 of the Howie test's 3 prongs. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, the entire time I've been following cryptocurrency, I've heard that the Howie test has 4 prongs, not 3 prongs. So why is the SEC trying to come out now and suddenly redefine the Howie test that should have 4 prongs? It always has had 4 prongs, but why for the SEC now does it suddenly have 3 prongs? Well, just to make sure no one's going crazy here, I did a search for Howie test prongs, and almost every single legal journal on Google defines the Howie test as a 4-prong test. So the SEC knows this. Their entire jurisdiction is pretty much regulated by this test. There are others, but it seems like the Howie test is the primary analysis for whether something's a security or not. So the SEC should know that it's a 4-prong test. So why are they suddenly trying to say it's a 3-prong test? Well, it's very sneaky, it's very gross, but the fact of the matter is the SEC knows cryptocurrencies don't fit into the 4-prong test. They're essentially admitting with this that cryptocurrencies don't pass the Howie test. If cryptocurrencies clearly pass the Howie test, why wouldn't they just say this token does not pass the Howie test 4-prong test? They're changing it to a 3-prong test because they're trying to change the law to better fit their argument. If their argument had any foundational basis, if their argument was right at all, they would be fine saying that cryptocurrencies met the 4-prong test. But they know it doesn't. They know it's a complete stretch to try to say that cryptocurrencies meet the original 4-prong test. So now they're trying to argue that the Howie test is now a 3-prong test. They're trying to do this because they know they are so far out of line on the law that they actually have to change the law to make their argument better. Now, this is exactly what the SEC is trying to do in the Library case. They're trying to change the law so that they could go to the judge and say, you know what, that last prong really isn't that important. Library fails this new Howie test and therefore it's a security. Now, the SEC in no way should be allowed to get away with this. They have laws that should govern their agency, and they should have to abide by those laws. The SEC trying to redefine these laws is nothing short of complete overreach, and there is no way the agency should be engaging in stuff like this. Attorney Bill also pointed out a lot of the things I just said, and then went further to say that the Library token doesn't even meet a lot of the other prongs as well. The Library team clearly pointed out that the Library token is used in a consumptive manner many of times and not actually used as an investment. It's used for pure utility, and people buying it are not buying it to make a profit, they're using it to use the token. This completely demolishes the Howie test, and the SEC just straight up ignores this. He says the SEC has been completely disingenuous with its arguments of how the Library token applies to the Howie test, and in less legal terms, the SEC is essentially cherry picking the parts of the Howie analysis that Library falls into and completely ignoring the parts where Library doesn't satisfy the Howie test at all. The SEC is trying to do this and trying to capture all the Library tokens as securities, even though in many instances it is very clear that Library would not pass the Howie test and would not be a security. The SEC has to reach like this, has to make these absurd arguments because cryptocurrencies very clearly are not securities, and the very premise that the SEC has to bend the laws to try to jam cryptocurrencies into their jurisdiction literally inherently proves that cryptocurrencies are not securities by traditional law, and this is something the SEC is having a very hard time accepting. I think Jeremy Hogan actually put this very good on Twitter. He said, "You really honed in on a big issue here and a weakness for the SEC. The SEC has a tuna and a dolphin in its net and is arguing they are both fish. The SEC is selectively picking certain attributes of the library token and trying to say, oh, because it swims in the water, it's a fish. The SEC is so far out of line here, and they're choosing to ignore the facts that would literally prove that these tokens are not securities. I think the SEC is going to fall flat on its face here, and particularly in the Ripple case, I think they are going to do so because we have very smart, honorable judges who are not going to let the SEC get away with stuff like this. Unfortunately, though, the SEC is not going to stop acting like this until they're put in their place. One thing we know that will put the SEC in their place is if they are forced to hand over the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass emails. There is no doubt at this point that these things have something bad in them, and the SEC does not want these going out to Ripple, and I'm sure they are terrified of the public seeing them. Unfortunately, we thought we were going to get these emails last week, but now attorney Fred said that initial prediction that they would be out last week was a little optimistic and believes that they should be out by the end of this week. Hopefully he's right on this, because I think the SEC is going to appeal this decision to Judge Torres either way, so it'd be nice to get the ball rolling here. I think either way, there is no way she's going to let the SEC apply the attorney-client privilege to these emails. I think she's trying to make her ruling bulletproof, make sure the SEC really can't fight back on this. We need to understand this is a huge case for her, and she definitely wants to take her time and make sure she gets everything right. But either way, I want to see the SEC denied on this badly, because once the SEC is denied on this, this was really their last gasp for air, guys. They are going to have a very hard time squirming out of this thing once they lose on the attorney-client privilege. Last of all, in very big news, Japanese mega bank acquires Ripple partner SBI Holdings, and this was the Mitsubishi Bank of Japan. I probably slaughtered that, but hopefully I was a little close. So now I'm going to call them the MFG. The MFG is one of the 6th biggest banks in the entire world, and they just acquired SBI, who is heavily integrated with Ripple. Honestly, it looks like SBI is really trying to bring Ripple into the traditional banking system. The fact that the 6th biggest bank in the entire world will now have access to the Ripple product line and XRP liquidity is absolutely massive, and I think is a great sign for things to come. I think the longer we watch all this play out, we'll see more and more of these massive banks start plugging into Ripple, start using XRP, and like I always say, it's only a matter of time until the central banks start transacting on the XRP ledger. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. I hope everyone had a great weekend, but for now, Mickle out.